Hi guys, this is Infamous Jack here, and I'm going to be doing my Secret Santa, which is going to be a flashback review for Mickey's Christmas Carol. Now, Mickey's Christmas Carol, it's a story that we all know. I mean, everybody has seen at least one version of A Christmas Carol at this point. I mean, it's been done to death, so basically, what is it about this one that kind of makes it stand out, seem a little different from all the other ones? Well, obviously the big draw for this one is that it's Mickey, Donald, Goofy, all those beloved characters doing a Christmas special. Well, and I think that's why most of us watch it, but there's been a lot of versions of that, so why is it that this one is replayed year after year after year? At least I think it still is. I haven't seen it on TV the last couple of years, but it's still one that's rewatched pretty heavily for Christmas. Well, honestly, I think part of the reason why is they just did a really good job with this one. I mean, it was only a half-hour short, so a lot of the times when you have something that short telling a story that covers as much ground as A Christmas Carol, it feels like something's being left out. But this time around, I don't know, I think they covered their bases pretty well. I mean, you get your establishment of Scrooge and why and that he's a terrible person. And then you have all the ghosts come in, and none of them feel like they're being rushed. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Every one of them feels like they're there for just the right amount of time to have their roles, and it feels like Scrooge is actually changing over the course of the short. That's my big problem with a lot of Christmas carols, is that it never feels like Scrooge changes. He just goes from terrible human being to the happy person that he is at the end. So, like I said, one of the big draws to this special is the fact that it's Disney characters playing the role. So, I thought for this review, we'd kind of look into each role and did they choose a good person for this one and whatnot here. First off, we have Scrooge McDuck, who's playing Ebenezer Scrooge. I mean, obviously that was perfect cast. That was perfect. I mean, they're both named Scrooge. The one thing I gotta admit, I always thought that Scrooge McDuck was created for this role. Oh, but no, it turns out he was actually a character who was around for quite a while. I didn't know that until only about 2 or 3 years ago. I always thought Scrooge McDuck was someone brand new. And then we have Mickey Mouse as Bob Cratchit, which is, again, kind of obvious casting. I mean, you absolutely can't go wrong in that role. I think Mickey makes pretty good Bob Cratchit. I don't think he's as good as, say, Kermit is in the Muppet Christmas Carol, but he's pretty darn good. And those are the two lead characters in the movie, and the only other three characters. See, in my mind, for Christmas Carol, you only need to worry about 5 characters. That's Scrooge McDuck, that's Ebenezer Scrooge, Bob Cratchit, and then the 3 ghosts. Everyone else after that, it's kind of optional. I've always felt Tiny Tim was more of a plot device than an actual character in most versions, and everyone else just has such a little amount of screen time. It doesn't really matter that much to me. So let's take a look at our 3/4 ghosts, depending on how you want to count. The first is Jacob Marley's ghost, which is played by Goofy. Gotta admit, this is kind of an odd one for me, because I don't know Jacob Marley's supposed to be a tragic character, a tortured soul, but come on, it's Goofy. He's just a little too the entire way through. I kind of think maybe they should have gone a different route with this, but on the other hand, it's Goofy, so there is some pretty good slapstick, so I think it's a take it or leave it thing. I personally wish they had gone a different direction, but now that I'm saying that, I can't really think of who they could get to that role. Plus, you gotta get the big 3 in there somewhere. Up next, Jiminy Cricket played the ghost of Christmas Past. Now, over my years of watching all the different Christmas Carol versions, it seems the Ghost of Christmas Past is the one that there's the most variety for. I mean, you go from anything from just an old man to a young girl kind of ghost floating thing, whatever that was in the Muppet version. So there's a wide range. So Jiminy Cricket, Admittedly, Jiminy Cricket's not one of my favorite characters, but I think he does the role pretty well. And then they had Willie the Giant as a Ghost to Christmas Present, which makes sense. The Ghost of Christmas Present's usually a big, lovable guy, and Willie the Giant fits the role pretty well. And then finally, for the Ghost of Christmas Future, you have Pete as this Grim Reaper type character. Just perfect job on this one. The in scene where they're in the graveyard, and it's the scene where you find out it's actually Pete who is the Ghost of Christmas Future, because he's got the cloak over him the entire time. It's just a really well done scene. You know, in fact, I'd be willing to say that Pete's probably my favorite version of the Ghost of Christmas Future. And after that, there's Donald, who plays Fred, Scrooge's nephew, who's good in the role. I kind of wish we saw more of Donald, just because I love Donald Duck, but that's just me. Everyone else really isn't in the short long enough to make that big of an impact. I mean, you have Minnie as Bob Cratchit's wife, and aside from that, no one really makes an impression. One thing I always did like about this movie, though, is just the cameos in it. Now, not like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where there's just people showing up for no reason. No, all the minor characters are played from characters from other Disney movies. It's mostly made up of Mr. Toad and Robin Hood. But anyways, I think this was a really good decision. Just kind of adds a little bit to the overall experience instead of just having unknown extras that you wouldn't know. It just sort of adds to why this one works so well. And in terms of animation and voice acting, this is just spot on all the way around. The voice acting was good for everyone, and the animation, for the lower budget it would have had as a 30-minute short, it's really beautiful animation. It holds up very well over the years. So overall, I'd say I'd probably give this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's not my favorite version of A Christmas Carol, but I think it is one of the better ones. Well, I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Alright, bye.